This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Don't do anything illegal. Don't break the laws in your country or any other country. In fact, don't take me seriously at all. Think of me as a jester, a doctor who plays a jester on TV. You're watching Dr. Todd Lee TV, where theoretically you could learn a bunch of cool shit. Another video on Anavar. So, last video I established the best time to take Anavar is before you lift, under the tongue. There's more to the story than that, but that's the simplest answer. So, there's a lot of questions going around the internet. Why would you use Anavar and Winstrol together? That apparently, particularly with female athletes, they're told by their coaches to take Anavar with Winstrol together. Okay? And they want to know why. Well, at first glance, what's different between Anavar and Winstrol? Objectively, not a whole lot. Supposedly, Winstrol should have better anti-catabolic properties than Anavar. Anavar should have better fat-burning properties. They're both about 9-hour half-life. There's an azide ring on the first ring of the Winstrol molecule. Basically, you take a DHT molecule, which is a dihydrotestosterone. You've converted a double bond at, I believe, position 4 that connects to 5 in the first ring from a double bond to single bonds because you've just hydrogenated that double bond at those carbons 4 and 5. That position 3, of course, is where the ketone is, that if it gets converted from a ketone to a alcohol group, it's now an estrogen. And at position 2, there's just normally a carbon there. Well, with Winstrol, you've got a bridge that has nitrogen in it that encircles that double bond. So it basically juts out at like position 1 and attaches to like position 4. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's branched bridge off of the first ring that basically changes the conformation of the ring structure and protects the molecule, making it particularly good at fucking with cortisol's glucocorticoid pathways, and thus is a very anti-catabolic agent. Some things say that it even prevents cortisol from being released from the adrenal gland, but I'm not going to stand behind that statement. This is just something I recall. I don't remember the veracity of the source. I bet I could dig it out, but then it's based on studies, and studies aren't really accurate most of the time because they're not done on competitive bodybuilders, they're done on rats. So they're not really valuable. And even if they're done on humans, they ain't done on humans like you, so it doesn't really matter. And then when it comes to the Anavar is a much simpler molecule. It's a DHT molecule with position 2 swapped out from a carbon to an oxygen. This protects the molecule so from being converted into estrogen. Like most DHT molecules, they get broken down once they enter the cell by, I believe it is 3-hydroxy superoxide dismutase, but I could be wrong. It's easy to get those things confused. They're fancy words. So, but the point is that DHT is useless for building muscle because it can't survive inside the cell. In the case of the Winstrol ring or the oxygenated substitution in position 2, those molecules are protected and are anabolic. Although that is not the primary use of DHT orals. The primary use of DHT orals is more on the normal androgen receptors that are extracellular, like the nervous system and the fat cells, and anti-catabolic properties and binding to SHBG. So each one of these DHT molecules has its own place. Proviron supposedly better for binding to SHBG. Masteron supposed to be great for binding to SHBG. Winstrol is best for anti-catabolic effects. Tren is best for anti-catabolic, not that that's a DHT molecule, but just as an example. And then the Anavar is kind of like the one that's broken down in the kidney, not the liver. So they have these little features, but for the most part, they're the same. So why would you use both of them, especially if they both have a 9-hour half-life and they're both oral? because of what we started with. That you take the Anavar, it has a special ability to spike really hard in that first hour. So that Anavar would be a great pre-workout. Now, these people may not have it prescribed, but the question to me was, when would you use both Anavar and Winstrol? And the answer is, you're at a point where you're using orals, usually in a prep, usually when you want to be dry as fuck and you don't worry about cortisol repairing joint tissue because you're not lifting that heavy anymore because you're dry as fuck, you're ready for a show. You're using the Winstrol every 9 hours as a muscle preservation agent, as an anti-catabolic agent, but you still need to punch through that workout with some, I don't want to say aggression, but focus and strength, even in a calorie deficient state, so that taking the Anavar pre-lift, or if you are a mess and can't even do cardio, pre-cardio, gives you an extra amount of anabolism, or because you're not in a calorie surplus, you're not going to build any muscle, an extra anti-catabolic effect, but mostly for the neural drive. In other words, the ability to lift. So in summation, I don't think you would use both. But if you were going to use both, when would you use both? You would take the Winstrol as to spread out throughout the day orally, and you'd use the Anavar sublingually to get a spike effect that would activate the brain and allow you to contract the muscles harder to get you through. And you know, some people might say it's at the neuromuscular junction, but the point is the DHT's receptors on the nervous system would be more of the function of the Anavar in such a short window when it's in a blanket effect of the Winstrol. So I've taken a very long time to say a very simple thing. Hopefully, with enough of the background material I gave you, it made sense. If you don't understand, or you think I'm full of shit, or you're like, this is stupid, why wouldn't you just take halotestin? Then put it in the comment section, and it'll give me a launch pad to address it with future videos, rather than me just going back and forth with someone in the comment section. I will use the comment section as a list of what to do videos on. Obviously, people are going to ask me to do videos on a bunch of shit. Do it in the comment section. That's the easiest way to let me know what you want to see. Thanks. Bye.